Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Rubenfeld here. Hi. It's been a while since I've made a longer video. As you probably noticed, if you follow me, you probably noticed that I've been primarily uploading shorts, um, usually comedy, mostly because I um, haven't somehow had the brain space for anything other than that. Or maybe if I want to be more specific, it's that the kind of more serious, longer form things just worried. I worried that they would just kind of become too serious. And so I've been using comedy in my own life to just sort of negotiate the reality that, in my opinion, things have gotten really bad in the world. At least the world that I spend my time focusing on. I don't actually think things are awful here in Poland. Uh, Personally, I am much happier under a Tusk government than a Kaczynski government. And yeah, gosh, Tusk certainly has not been like revelatory. But at the same time, I just feel like I'm at least living in a world where the government doesn't openly attack minorities. So, yeah, that for me is important. In terms of like the country that I live in, that was pretty hard. But at the same time, the world has gotten tough. I don't know where you stand on American politics, but man, what's happening in America for me is it's hit a level of, well, I mean, it's kind of like hit the same level of insanity, if not worse, than under the Kaczynski government. The problem in America, of course, is that it's far more powerful, far more dangerous, whereas like the Kaczynski government affects Poland. Uh, the American government, what Trump does, affects the entire world. And I mean, I think that we're naive if we're to think somehow that Putin isn't involved. Putin is too what is the word? Insane. Uh, is he insane? Sociopathic, psychopathic, to not try to get involved. And if Trump gives him an opening, which I'm sure he does or has, then I'm sure Putin is quite involved. The problem with the way that the world is working right now is that with American politics run by Trump slash Elon Musk, or maybe Elon Musk slash Donald Trump slash Vladimir Putin, and with what's happening in Israel, which I'll get to in a second. Oh Israel, with Netanyahu. These are not people who care about other people. These are not people who care about other people. These are not people who care about governing. These are people who care about power under all circumstances. You know, the thing about Trump, and what's terrifying for me about Trump is that he's a salesman. He's just a good salesman, as is Elon Musk. They are salesmen, and they think of the American public as consumers, and so they basically just did whatever they could, said whatever they could to make the sale. The whole stuff around eggs and going to, like, all the promises that Trump made to the everyday person. Those are obviously he those are obvious lies. Like, if you're smart, if you understand what's happening, if you understand what they're doing, they're just trying to win the election. So they'll say whatever. And most people are not critically, they don't have like the critical capacity to go, oh, maybe they're not telling the truth. Maybe they're just saying the things I want to hear in order to get my vote. That is absolutely what they're doing. Like, Donald Trump has been corrupt his entire life. His entire life. That's been kind of his thing. So people who, really understand who he is and vote for him, they're just voting because they want corruption. If anyone thinks that he's like a good person, you're either just you don't understand who this person is, you're stupid. And then there's Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. And this is super dangerous because Benjamin Netanyahu also is corrupt, also a man who is, just been trying to hold on to power. He's a corrupt person. While he's the prime minister of Israel, I'm not sure how many people know this, he cannot be tried, but he's as someone who's not in power, he would be put on the stand for having broken the law on more than one occasion, and he would probably be convicted because he knows that he's guilty. And so this is why he managed to build the kind of coalition that he did that allowed him to win the election again in Israel. But in order to do that, he had to build a very, very right-wing coalition government, the most right-wing coalition government, the most right-wing government Israel has ever seen, ever. So what we're seeing in Gaza is a result of that coalition that Netanyahu put together. And he doesn't care. He just needs to hold on to power. He cares about himself only. He doesn't care about Israeli people. Why would he care about Israeli people? What is in it for him? These are corrupt people who are trying to hold on to power by any means. And the war, the violence, all of this shit that's been happening in Gaza is of benefit to Netanyahu personally in terms of holding on to power. And I mean, I could get into reasons, but basically, what happened on October 7th to the Israeli people was so awful for so many people that there was this collective desire for justice. And Netanyahu being the guy who led this pursuit of justice for the slain makes him, in a lot of people's minds, a kind of powerful hero. And you would probably feel the same way if someone in your family was murdered by someone and someone was turning around and going, I'm going to get them. So it's really hard, I think, for us outside of Israel to fully comprehend the trauma and the psychology, the psychological kind of warfare that's happening in that part of the world. If you hear some snoring, it's because my dog is there sleeping with one of them, yeah. I was wearing a hat, by the way, that I decided to take off to make this video, which is why my hair looks like this. So my apologies. There's nothing I can do about this. I can try, but see, it just kind of like, boom, it's a little better. I don't know. So, okay, so I'm just like going on, and I don't know if you're still watching. If you're still watching, you're power to you, thank you. But basically, this is what's been going on in my head, these things, and I'm sick of it. And, at the same time, I've been also dealing with, because I'm like, I've got a lot of followers now, not just here on YouTube, but also on TikTok and Instagram. For some reason, I'm on all three of platforms, but not all three like to sort of be generous towards me at the same time. So there was this period where people were following me a lot on TikTok. I was having a lot of things go viral on TikTok. That stopped. There was this period here on YouTube where I was kind of exploding, and then I've just completely plateaued, which is fine. But my Instagram is now going up. So I'm close to like 8,000 followers on Instagram, and that's just in like the last month or so. Like I've almost doubled, which is cool. So I've just been focusing on shorter form content, which is probably also why you're getting a lot of shorter form content. I'm giving you like the justification for how I'm making content, which I'm sure is incredibly interesting for you. I'm sure this is what you've come here to hear me talk about. But anyways, because I'm so active now on different platforms, I'm getting just a lot of, particularly on like Instagram these days, because my humor tends to be kind of, I like to use subjects that might kind of rile people up a little bit, but always with a point. I'm always trying to instigate a conversation, and I know that a good way to instigate conversation is by triggering something in people. So I love Poland. I love living here. I consider myself Polish, but not everyone likes the way that I use humor, and people are not afraid online to tell me about how anti-Polish I am, and that's just sort of where it might start. But then it goes to anti-Semitic stuff, lots of anti-Semitism. So there's also that. So it's why it's easier for me to deal with comedy, because I don't know. It's better to laugh than to cry sometimes. But these days, what's happening in the world does make me feel like crying. I don't see an end in sight. I just hope that here in Poland, I do hope we can kind of like try and move towards something normal. Oh, and of course, what's happening in the war in Ukraine carries on, which is crazy that that's not become the most important thing that we're thinking about. But certainly all of this is better for Putin. And I think that this war in Ukraine is going to end in a way that's very good for Putin and not great for Ukraine. And I think that we will see violence again because of Putin. At some point, I think that he's sort of moving towards the attempt to dismantle NATO so that he can kind of take over his master plan. Yeah. So who knows? Worst case scenario is World War III. Best case scenario, well, everyone dies, and we just have new, less power hungry leaders who care about other people and the planet that we live on. Because certainly that is not who is running the world right now. And it's crazy. It's crazy that the world is run by people who are basically psychopaths. They don't care about other people or us. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to reconcile that. And it's especially hard when other people don't see that. So just keep on keeping on. I'm just going to post this unedited because I don't have the energy to edit. So hopefully this is interesting for you all. And I've also been in Rzeszów the last 2.5 months, 2 months on and off, making a new show in Rzeszów called Ford. So if you're in Rzeszów or in the area, I hope you come and see it. It's about loosely based on Alexander Ford. It's more about a couple of filmmakers who are trying to make a film about Alexander Ford and the struggles in trying to do that. It's about the complications in trying to tell story, because stories are told by just those who are deciding to tell the story, and we how do we decide to tell stories? Particularly, it's a question for right now, when the storytellers are corrupt, and so people are wanting to tell stories the way that it serves the narrative that they want to perpetuate. And that's true everywhere. So how do we tell stories? It's a question that I'm constantly asking. It's part of the reason I moved to Poland, and it's part of the reason I have social media, because I think it's important to share my truth so that we can continue to perpetuate others sharing their truth. But truth, not lies, because it's easier to make a deal, which is the people currently running the world. Okay, bye. Love you. Hope you enjoy this. Do zobaczenia.